This is the Runcam Thumb 2, a GoPro equivalent that's coming in at $99 and like 27 grams. G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and in this video we're looking at the Runcam Thumb 2, a tiny little form factor, ultra lightweight HD camera that is what some people are calling the GoPro killer or the bare bones budget GoPro alternative. It's $99. We're going to put it through its paces, bring you along, and also a bit of a spoiler alert, it gets a little bit dicey. We're going to be catching up with Stickman Steve, get his impressions, and do not try at home what we do in this video because things got a little bit dicey there for a little bit out on the bay and cruising around having a good time. But we're going to do all that and cover the features, the pros, the cons, and everything so you can decide, is this a good camera? Should I get it for $99? Is it really the GoPro killer? And are there some other alternatives out there? As a bit of an overview, it's coming in, I think, at like 23 or 27 grams. I'll put it on the screen right there. So if you're worried about like carrying around a big heavy GoPro, a lot of our smaller drones, they can't do that. It's a tiny little form factor. So it is very, very easy to mount to your drone. It's not going to weigh it down. It's not really going to reduce your flight times or anything like that. There are some limitations which we're going to cover. Of course, $99. It's a very, very budget price. If you're into action cameras at all, it's very hard to get a 4K camera that can do that for under $100. It's got some whole bunch of ND filters and those sorts of things. It does not have an internal battery, which I think is a bit of a plus. So you'll notice on the back here, it just wires up directly to your drone. So when you plug your drone battery in, it's sending power directly to the camera. And the big one, or one of the things that is a little bit different about this, there's no external screen and there's also no Wi-Fi. So if you want to do any setting changing or anything like that, you need to actually pull the app up on your phone, you point it at some QR codes, and that's how you change everything. But with all those features aside, we'll be going through some of the setup and stuff towards the end of the video, but this is the part you want to see, right? We're going to get out to the field. I'm going to show you some footage and also give you some commentary, which it's a little bit dicey, not recommended at home with Stickman Steve. So let's do that, and then we'll come back to the studio. We'll talk about some of the setups, the pros, the cons, and really, should you spend $100 on this, and is it worth it? So let's do that in 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, you're about to launch off the bow of Steve's boat right here. Really cool place to fly. It wasn't very easy to land, but there is something very, very important. I'm going to show you a couple of different clips here, but straight off the bat, I want to mention, and I saw a lot of videos on this, I tried to do some other research on it. We're flying around with a 7-inch drone, so this is our fishing drone. Look, it's not the most stable drone, but it's, you know, more than enough. The FPV feed's pretty good and everything like that. But this, the Thumb 2, I feel like the oscillations just make it very, very difficult to record. It does have like the auto settings and you can do stabilization and all that sort of stuff, but it doesn't handle it as well as a GoPro. I know it's like, you know, a quarter of the price or something like that, but look, for me, cruising this thing around, you can see in some of those vibrations, looking at the trees in the distance, it's just sort of blurring out. And I'm going to jump just to a smaller craft as well, so you can see what that's like. So here we are. This is on a tiny little 2-inch, so the vibrations aren't quite as noticeable on, say, like a larger 7-inch craft, although they are still a little bit present. I've got to say the colors look really nice. I did put a different ND filter on this one as well. The stock standard settings that it come with are okay, and I would recommend, if you don't want to muck around with your camera, leaving it on auto is okay. Having those extra options in there is nice. It's just difficult to sort of get a handle on what it's going to be like without the preview or anything like that. So if you don't have your phone, or you want to muck around with some of those little scanning things, it can be very, very frustrating. I got to say though, for the price, look, it's very, very good. The weight makes it fantastic, so you're not really going to weigh your craft down. The big one for me though, because I'm recording on board with my DJI, I'm probably just going to use that footage. So like if you have a digital camera, this is something people need to think about. Would you get this, or would you just prefer to use the onboard DVR recording? Now, another little test here that we're doing as well, and I thought this was kind of like a happy accident that happened. So I went to change some settings, do another flight, just in the checking it out, but I got one of the exposure values wrong. So there's no real way to check this. And then before I came up and I thought, yep, that's going to be a cool flight, I want to check that out. No, it's actually incorrect. So you can imagine, if you don't know what you're doing, you try to put on the wrong settings because you can't really check it live, so to speak, without a flight. You took off, you wanted to capture something really, really cool. You need to make sure you know exactly how the settings are going to react to your day. Now look, auto does an okay job, but it's probably something that just is, I feel like, look, it's a cheap camera, so I don't know, I can't expect it to do everything, but you need to be mindful. You just sort of need to do a little bit of work to get the most out of this camera. So here we are again, wrapping it up. I think it handles most of the stuff right, especially for the $99 price. You guys can let me know. But what we're going to do now, I had Steve actually on the arm switch. He was supposed to disarm this. That's what he told me, because I prefer my arm switch on the right. But I said to him, look, I'm going to come in for a landing soon.
Can you flick the arm switch, which is on the left, because he's like a strange T-Rex person, even though it should be on the right. And yeah, you can see exactly what happened.
I pushed it. Oh, pushed.
Yeah, Steve didn't press the correct switch, so I had to actually figure out where that arm switch was. Lesson learned, do your arm switches yourself, no matter where they are. Especially don't trust Stickman Steve.
All right, so with those overviews said and done, I'm glad we got the drone back. It was a little bit sketchy to try to land on a moving boat, and I shouldn't have got Steve to disarm, so lucky we've got our fingers and toes are all intact. It went a little bit sketchy in the boat, but the Runcam Thumb to itself, I do like it for $99. I think, look, it does have a lot of pluses. In terms of setting it up, one of the things that I think is a pro and a con, you need to point it at your phone. It scans a QR code. There's a whole app and a whole bunch of settings, and I'll link it down below if you can read, like you want to read the really detailed parts about the shutter speeds and all those sorts of things. But you essentially set it up by pointing it at your phone. Now, I think that is a good thing if you know what you are doing. If you're one of the lazy people out there that just wants a camera that you just press one button and it does everything, I don't think this is the solution. In terms of regarding vibrations and those things, you can see on one of those flights, it didn't handle it very well. So Steve's flight when we're cruising around, or when I was flying around the boat and those sorts of things, it was jumping all over the place. I think a GoPro would handle that better. But remember, this is $99. And also, there's no way to preview those settings before you go out and fly. That's why I say, if you're lazy, this isn't going to be the one for you. But if you invest a little bit of time, you learn how it works, you'll learn what ISO settings to use, what shutter speed to use, what ND filters you like, what the exposure's like. If you take some time to just get to know that and find out, okay, these are the settings I want for this sort of day, you can get some very, very nice footage back, especially for that $99 price tag. Now, some people would call this a limitation. I think it's actually a bit of a plus. There's no onboard Wi-Fi chip on here, so it keeps the prices down. It's going to make you don't have to even worry about the internal battery. I like how it's powered by 5 volt that directly comes off your drone. I think that is a big, big plus for me. A lot of people strip down their GoPros anyway in the past to have like naked GoPros and those sorts of things. It just keeps the weight down. It keeps the price down. We do have our little USB port underneath right here. And I have to say, this is where I disagree. I did watch Bruce from RC Model Reviews. He did a review of this one, a great thorough deep dive and that sort of stuff. And when you slide it in the mount that it comes with, he mentioned that to get access to your SD card, you do need to slide that out. Of course, you can access the little USB on the side to transfer your files, but it's USB 2, according to him. And I don't think that's really an issue. If you're going to wait 7 minutes in order to transfer over your files, it's so much easier just to like slide this out, get your SD card out. And I also actually like how this protects your SD card from getting lost. So rather than if you have a really heavy crash and the SD card goes flying out, I kind of like that it's locked away. It takes a little bit more work to get it out there. It sort of needs to be done intentionally. But other than that, I got to say, look, it's an okay camera. Remember, it's $99. If you are into cameras, if you know what you are doing, you can get great results out of this. If you're after a lazy man's camera, you're not going to get the best. You need to do a little bit of work. And also, probably a big one for me, if you are flying around with digital already, I don't know if I'd be switching this over. Of course, it's going to make a huge difference on some analog quads. So if you want to record your DVR, it is in no way comparable to this. But I think the digital footage I get back, like off my O3 Air units, off my CADX walk-snell systems and that, for my sort of flying, that is good enough. And if you're going to use this for some commercial purposes, well, you're probably going to be looking at the much more expensive GoPro options anyway. But look, I'd say a big thumbs up. I do like it. It's got its purpose. For $99, it is really hard to complain. You just need to spend a little bit of time to get the most out of it. And also the final part, you need to make sure that you've got a pretty stable quad or you don't have any oscillations or anything like that, because you can see in our first footage, it didn't handle that very well. But I'd love to know what you guys think, and a huge shout out to my patrons as well, because without you, I couldn't do this video. And if you want to get started flying today, go watch this video. This is probably one of my #1 recommendations on how to start the hobby in 2024.